Hello, all, and welcome. I'm your host, Ardina Farron, and today I'm sitting with Alan Levy, founder and president of Crestline Logistics and Crestline Auto Transport. Alan, welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Anytime we get to talk to you, it's really a wonderful conversation that really helps the ecosystem learn and grow altogether, I think.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yes. And Alan, please tell us a little bit about Crestline for our viewers who are unfamiliar.
Absolutely. So Crestline Logistics / Crestline Auto Transport, we are a logistics company that arranges for the transportation of vehicles. So our shipping services are loaded on trailer. So there are two different ways to transport vehicles, either a drive-away or a truck-away service. We are not a drive-away service where we would hire or contract a driver to actually get into the vehicle and drive it from point A to point B. We use qualified truckload carriers who are able to load the vehicles onto a trailer and take it from point A to point B. And the reason why we really focus more on the truck-away side of the business is because it allows the vehicle not to incur any wear and tear. It's a very reliable way of transportation of the vehicle. And oftentimes it's able to get the vehicle from point A to point B in a quicker amount of time.
And just, would you happen to have any commentary from your customers about that? Because I know that most of the time, I don't think they're aware really of how their vehicle is going to get to them. But the fact that you are providing a truck away service, what is their response to that?
Oftentimes they're reassured by that. The average customer that'll come in who is not a business, but it may be a retailer or a consumer, is really coming into this, very wide-eyed, but also not too aware or sophisticated about the process. And what Crestline's main focus is to ensure that the customer feels comfortable with the service offering that we're provided. We offer direct communication. We have dedicated transportation specialists who are physically talking on the telephone with our customers or communicating via email. We do not use any call centers. And the way that we handle it is just a personal touch. And we explain the shipping process to every one of our customers, even those that are experienced in it or those that are not. And what we really are proud of is how we're able to provide accurate shipping costs in real time to all of our customers. And we'll get into talking about that throughout this program. But it is so important to understand that whatever price we're presenting, and then our dedicated transportation specialists are communicating with the customer to find out any more specific needs to the transportation quote. Whenever we're booking the transport with our customers, that is the final price. There are no hidden fees and there are no cancellation charges.
Wonderful to hear, because I think that is something, like you said, reassuring to our end users, to the people who are needing these services ultimately. And it sounds like it's a step above for the industry in itself.
No, I appreciate that. Just to kind of elaborate a little bit on our service offering, especially to customers who may not be familiar with the service offering itself. Crestline is a third-party logistics company. We don't own any of our own trucks or manage any of our own drivers. However, we have over 5,000 pre-qualified vehicle transport trucking companies who have all the necessary insurance, operating authority, and professional drivers who are able to load the vehicles onto their trailers, provide the communication while the vehicle is in transit, and also are presenting a clear electronic bill of lading or a receipt with images of the vehicle once it's picked up and at the time of delivery, just to really ensure the transparency of our service.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I just want to take a moment to highlight the connectivity you have within the commercial ecosystem of networking with, established transportation businesses and helping providing them work?
What's interesting is we have over a decade of experience. Crestline Logistics was established in 2010, and currently today we have relationships with thousands of dealerships around the country, as well as where we find our signature experience is really within the commercial, fleet, and heavy duty departments. So we have transported basically every type of upfitted and modified vehicle imaginable, and are proud to say that we understand the type of trailers and equipment that are required to support a small sedan or an upfitted E500 high van with a refrigerated unit on it, or a dump truck, or a landscape, whatever they are. We truly understand the requirements that are needed for proper transport and a reliable and safe pickup and delivery experience.
I think that's really important to note because previously I was a dealer, a commercial dealer, and there have been times where transporters have shown up, we've scheduled everything out, and they just don't have the right equipment to move this vehicle.
And I think that's what sets Crestline apart from a lot of our fellow competitors in this space. We are all in this together, and oftentimes we share some of the same contracted transporters and carriers. However, we truly understand commercial, heavy duty, and fleet. It's been something that's been a part of our DNA for over 7 years now. And what we do is we pay special attention to the actual upfitted modified vehicle, to its dimensions, to the requirements of a trailer that might need extended ramps or a low profile. Not trying to get too specific here, but we understand, we get, and we love commercial and fleet vehicles. So having our dedicated transportation specialists be able to communicate that not only to the sales representatives and to the management staff over at commercial and fleet dealers and departments on how we truly understand what their needs are. And we are continuously wanting to learn if there are new types of upfits and modifications of vehicles that then need to be communicated to our contracted carriers to ensure that the first piece of equipment that we send in is the right equipment, and that driver truly understands what the requirements are in order to safely and reliably pick up that vehicle and deliver it to the end user.
Well, coming from, my past career as a dealer and understanding the importance of that, I really, really want to thank you for creating such a process, because it's really important. Time is of the essence in a lot of these cases where vehicles need to be moved. So the fact that you've created that due process, really, you're going above and beyond. And I think it really speaks to transparency within the process. You are very aware of what is going on, what needs to happen. And transparency is very crucial, especially when it comes to shipping vehicles. Can you tell our listeners about the instant quote tool provided on these sites?
And I think that the beginning of the journey as it relates to transparency between Crestline and the consumer or the end user begins with the shipping process. So we are able to provide instant shipping quotes to a customer who is looking at a vehicle detail page, either on the Convoy website or on a respective dealership's website. So as the customer or the end user is going through his or her journey, sees a vehicle that makes sense, but it may be in Newark, New Jersey, and they're in Savannah, Georgia, the ability that Crestline has established to be able to navigate that customer to get a free online shipping quote to transport that vehicle to Savannah, Georgia, as opposed to figuring out, well, what's next? This vehicle makes perfect sense for us, but how are we going to get it? We are able to provide that through our integration with Convoy, as well as on other respective dealerships' websites, where they can click on get a shipping quote, And as I had mentioned, with over a decade of experience with upfitted and modified vehicles, our pricing tool has evolved to understand how to price a dump truck or a box truck or something that has an upfitted or modified dimension that's not just a stock vehicle that is coming from one of the OEMs or the assembly plants. And that's the transparency and peace of mind that a retailer or a consumer or even a small business who gets that quote can be able to understand that and then take it a next step to be able to reach out to one of our representatives, or one of our representatives can reach out because intuitively on the site, they can click to have one of our dedicated transportation specialists reach out to them and give them a little bit more detail to that shipping quote, and then also what our shipping process is.
I think it also really speaks to the evolution of technology because, on the Convoy sites, the vehicle display pages are so detailed that it seems like there's a seamless integration between your quoting software and the details provided on any one listing to make sure that that vehicle is properly quoted.
I would agree. And that's what's been such a game changer that Convoy has been able to provide and present to the consumer and the buying community at the dealership level, at any level, really. A customer, a small fleet, a business owner, or even someone who is looking to replace the vehicle that they have today. There is so much information embedded in that vehicle display page to understand the DNA of that vehicle, that our pricing tool works seamlessly alongside all those dimensions to be able to provide and present an accurate and a reliable shipping quote. And I think that that's what really sets us apart from others in our vehicle transport and auto transport and shipping space. Again, we get commercial and fleet. And I think that our pricing and then our respective service and delivery and the overall user experience speaks to it.
Wonderful to hear. What else sets you apart?
As I had mentioned before, we're not just a lead generator. We're not just some automated bot that is sending out shipping quotes, and then that shipping quote may go out to 7 or 8 different transport companies vying to win that specific lead. We are the direct company. And so who you're going to be working within are dedicated Crestline transportation specialists who will work hand in hand with the business, with the dealership, or with the end user, whomever is responsible for arranging the transportation along the way, all the way up into booking. As I mentioned before, we believe in our pricing. We also understand the market, that we will ensure the proper equipment is used to pick up and deliver the vehicles. And as I mentioned before, if you're booking and something happens along the way before we pick up the vehicle and it needs to be canceled, there are no cancellation fees. And we stand behind the shipping quote that's booked at the time of booking, that we will not change our shipping cost. We will stand behind it, and we will ensure that there's the reliable transportation and the user experience is received throughout the entire process.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to ask you about cancellations. You already spoke to, true pricing. So it's already, there's no hidden fees or extra costs accrued within the transportation process. But I think that no cancellation fees really brings peace of mind to the end user, to a dealer, anybody who might be involved in a transaction as such.
That's right.
And I've heard some wonderful testimonials from your clients. Would you mind sharing a bit about that?
Well, there are many, and thank you very much for bringing that up. We think that the overall overarching comments and reviews that we receive really speak to the reassurance aspect of, hey, we're actually talking to a live person. If we have any questions or concerns from the time of booking all the way to the time of delivery, we know that we can count on Crestline's dedicated transportation specialists who will respond to us in a timely manner. We're just not talking to an AI-generated bot. And that type of white glove service and experience should be expected of the customer. That oftentimes today, with technology so rapidly advancing, sometimes that falls through the cracks. And we know that it's all about relationships, and it's all about the reliability and the transparency in what we do. And so that's one of the main signature experiences of Crestline, is transparency, reliability, and standing behind our pricing and doing what we say, and we say what we do. I would say that. But secondly, what really sets us apart is I have to say, the integration capabilities that we have to be able to offer our shipping services to such a wider network and community that Convoy affords. Just as an example, if you go to the Convoy site and search for all vehicles, there are over 225,000 vehicles with over 1,000 dealerships and customers who are presenting and marketing and promoting their inventory on the Convoy site alone. So you can only imagine how many eyeballs are going on that site. And we take such pride in everyone that clicks on to getting a shipping quote, because we know that we want that individual to have the same seamless, frictionless experience that they're going to receive from the dealership, that we're just an extension of the dealership. We're oftentimes the last touch to the customer at the time of delivery of the vehicle. So we just want to make sure that they're going to receive that same consistency and experience during the buying and delivery process.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because, Convoy having such a variety of listings and a vast number of them, a lot of the times Work Truck Solutions subscribed dealers will also list non-commercial vehicles on their sites. And that gives, a lot of eyes to just seemingly retail vehicles, right? Something that doesn't have a ladder rack or an upfit on it. And it sounds like you're providing the greater population, non-commercial population, with the same white glove service and exceptional service.
That's a really good point that you bring up. To us, every customer should be treated in the same manner, in the same way. Probably the majority of the customer base that is on the Convoy site itself are small businesses, or they're small to mid-sized to large companies that have a procurement department that are looking for a volume of fleet vehicles. Or let's even take it a step back. They're in search to establish a relationship with a reputable dealership that has the inventory or the buying power to support what their service needs are. There is no better resource than convoy.com to be able to look at all of those listings, because every one of those subscribed dealers is exactly that. They're reputable, they have desirable inventory, and they know how to support the dynamic needs of the end user that is out there supporting their site. So let's say that the majority happen to be businesses or business owners. There also are individuals there that are buying, as I had mentioned, they're looking to get out of their own personal vehicle. And there are sedans, SUVs, large trucks, and even some smaller modified vehicles or upfitted vehicles that really do favor a single retailer or an individual for a purchase. And I think that that's fantastic. I also believe that the commercial and fleet, or the average dealer today, is now seeing where there's a way that they can increase their business, see themselves grow by also catering to a commercial and fleet department. And it takes time and a process to do that, and building relationships with the dealerships to be able to do that. I mean, with the manufacturers to be able to do that. However, commercial and fleet, there is a long-term play there. The consumer or the buyer is a long-term buyer who undoubtedly, if they can establish a relationship with that dealership, is going to come back twice, 3 times, or through the extent of whatever their buying history is going to be. So you've got a customer for life, not to mention establishing and creating service bays for continual maintenance and preventative maintenance of these vehicles. That's just another way for a dealership to be able to pivot and to be able to grow their business. I will mention that not only is our shipping and quoting capability on the Convoy site on the vehicle detail pages, it's also on over 100 of the subscribed Work Truck Solution dealerships that are advertising on the Convoy site. Can also, if they're going to the respective dealership's website, can also get the same shipping quote and same service, transparency, and reliability from Crestline.
I think that that really opens the door for both the commercial department as well as the consumer, because consumers are looking for a different way of gathering their goods, of the relationship they're building. And as that continues to grow, I think the commercial departments are really set up for that white glove, attentive, meet you where you're at type of transaction for consumers. And if consumers are getting their needs met there, as well as the white glove service and transportation through Crestline, I think that really encapsulates what a consumer is looking for within their transactions. And I thank you for highlighting the commercial process and commercial departments, because that's the way a very, very large number of commercial departments operate. It's attentive. It is, what is it that you're looking for? And I don't think that retail consumers often realize that they too can purchase their vehicles through a commercial department.
That's right. And I am optimistic and continue to be encouraged to see how a lot of franchise dealerships today or independent dealers today are finding ways to grow their business by expanding or pivoting also into commercial and fleet. Because at the end of the day, a retailer or a customer of a commercial and fleet department is looking for a long-term relationship. So if you get a consumer retailer who comes in and buys from the commercial department, you're almost assured that that is going to be a customer for life. So it's almost, it's a home run any way you look at it. Looking for customer retention and for long-term relationships, you really find that in commercial and fleet departments. And we're really seeing that consumers and retailers today are going to commercial and fleet departments to get their vehicles and their services satisfied. So you bring up a great point, and I envision that in the years to come, there will be more commercial and fleet departments out there that are supporting a retailer in the consumer market.
I surely hope to see that as well. And I mean, simply from a branding standpoint, if you are giving a customer a great experience, like you mentioned, they're going to be a customer for life, but they're also going to tell other people they know about that. So I think that the extension of the commercial department is really just another means to strengthen community engagement with retail customers.
It's so interesting being in this space for as long as I have, and have been able to bring other Crestline individuals up into it. So an ever growing and expanding company here. We really see that dealerships embody culture, and the ones that understand it and win in the end are the ones that have a sustainable culture. And commercial and fleet departments are really interesting. They take culture to a different level. Not saying that new or pre-owned departments don't, but there is some user experience, and there's something that happens within commercial and fleet that I find is a little different and more dynamic. And the more that the consumer audience and the retailers come on over and purchase vehicles on the commercial and fleet side, they are going to be they're going to be very satisfied.
I would agree. I feel as if though the commercial process is really rewriting the playbook on how to address and how to sell to not just a commercial buyer, but all buyers. That's what all buyers are wanting to get out of their vehicle transactions. They want to be seen, heard, understood, and felt like all of their needs are met. And I think that that really speaks to just the essence of the way a commercial department runs.
And one way to be able to bring the conversation back to Convoy and a retailer or a consumer or a customer engaging on the Convoy platform, it's exactly that. These are vehicles that have such extensive detail to them that the buyer is already getting 85 to 90% of all the information that they want right there on the page. Top it off with the cherry on top with, if it's a customer that is out of region, that is 500, 600, 1,000 miles away, having the ability to get a free shipping quote and then talk to a reliable transportation company to finish off the experience. Well, that may take a customer that may be compelled or curious about a purchase all the way up to, hey, let's speed this process up, ready to engage with this dealership, ready to establish a relationship with them, short-term or long-term, and let's have Crestline arrange for the transportation and deliver the vehicle.
I think it helps the consumer feel more confident in their purchase.
Yeah, it is a suite. It completes the service offering, and it sure does enhance the user experience. Being able to do all of that on one platform or engage with one dealership, as opposed to having to go around and shop around for a shipping quote or go online and get caught in a lot of different rabbit holes. Working alongside Crestline, who's been in it and in this space for over a decade, who understands the needs of the customer, can provide reliable transportation at a very reasonable and affordable price.
Well, I hope that our listeners walk away feeling more reassured and confident in Crestline and your abilities, because like you said, your decades of experience watching the industry grow, and you in fact growing with it and beating it, and I think even propelling the way business is done in the industry as a whole. It's really wonderful to hear and to congratulations on that, because I think that's no easy feat.
Well, I really appreciate that. Where we find the ways, and the only ways that we can really grow as individuals that make up Crestline, and then Crestline as an organization, is by receiving both critical feedback as well as positive feedback on how the experience is and how we can continue to evolve in perfecting what we do. And that is what our intent is to create the most frictionless vehicle transportation experience that will compel and lead a buyer to continue, if they go into this process, to consider Crestline again for the vehicle transport service offering.
And for anybody who might be hesitant, whether that's dealer, end user, how would you reassure them on the reliability of the tools that Crestline provides, the instant quote tools, and of your service?
We are open to any and all conversations that probably start with the initial shipping quote, and then talking about the type of service we provide. We're very consistent in our messaging to not only the retailers in our customer base out there, but also to dealerships, to manufacturers, to upfitters, to the whole variety and the space that makes up our customer base. It's all about, we're here to listen to better understand a customer's needs, and then be able to apply our expertise and experience in this space to allow for a smooth, transparent, and easy vehicle shipping service to the customer. So we stand by that. And as I mentioned before, every transaction to us matters. So we treat every transaction the exact same way to try to provide, as I mentioned, the most frictionless experience for the buyer, the dealership, or the end user.
Thank you, Alan. What a wonderful conversation and very insightful to those listening. Hopefully they are taking away, that there are people in the industry who really, truly care.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to share our service offering, our experience, and then also a relationship and engagement with Convoy.
Always a wonderful partnership, especially from our end. Before we wrap up, can you give our listeners a final insight on how they can get started with Crestline, whether an end user, locating a vehicle on Convoy, a dealership who would like to partner with Crestline, and how that instant quote tool might work for them?
Absolutely. So for those customers that are going online onto the Convoy site, you will easily be able to find us through your journey of looking at vehicles by clicking onto the getting a free shipping quote. All of our contact information is presented at that time, and especially after the time of the quote that's presented to you. And you can reach out to us via email or by the telephone number that's presented on the Convoy site. Of course, you could always go to our website, crestlineautotransport.com, to be able to get more information about Crestline. But what's important to understand is that we're also an A+ rated company on the Better Business Bureau and have been since 2013. We are as transparent as you can get on being able to communicate what our service offering is and how we can support the needs of a retailer, an end user, a business, a dealership, whichever one they are. Getting the access on the Convoy site, it's simple to get our information. I think you might also be able to find us on the partner page on the Convoy site as well.
It is such a wonderful partnership, and I'm so incredibly grateful for your time today, Alan. As always, you provide so much insight, so much really energy to any conversation you're part of and to the ecosystem as a whole. So thank you so much for all of the hard work that Crestline has done, not just for your customers, but for the ecosystem as a whole.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.